Imagine this. You're a cop chasing down a suspect, expecting just another routine bust. But what if the safe you're cracking open holds more than just cash? What if in the heat of the moment, you get a face full of something you never saw coming? That's exactly what happened when an officer found himself on the wrong side of a spicy surprise. Hot sauce, straight to the face. But here's where it gets even more interesting. That safe, it wasn't just anyone's. It belonged to someone powerful, someone unexpected. A black mayor. How did this even happen? Who was the officer chasing? And why was the safe so important? The deeper you dig, the crazier this story gets. Stick around because this isn't just a case of breaking and entering. It's a story packed with twists, turns, and one fiery reveal you won't believe. Let's dive in. The officer staggered back, eyes burning, gasping for air. The unexpected hit of hot sauce wasn't just any mild kick. It was like fire searing his face. He wiped at his eyes, barely able to see, while the suspect he had been chasing slipped into the night. But there was no time to dwell on that. What mattered now was the safe. Who did it belong to? What was inside? And why had it been rigged like a trap? As backup arrived, the officer's radio crackled. That's when he heard a name that stopped him cold. The safe wasn't random. It was the property of the city's black mayor, someone known for his clean image, his strong stance on justice. So why was his safe hidden in this run-down spot? And what was so valuable inside that someone went to extreme lengths to protect it? The mystery was only getting deeper. The officer, still blinking through the sting, could hear his colleagues murmuring behind him. A safe belonging to the mayor, hidden in a place like this, it didn't add up. One of the officers tried to force it open, but the lock wouldn't budge. Whatever was inside, someone really didn't want it found. Meanwhile, across town, Mayor Richardson sat in his office, unaware of the chaos unfolding. He was known for his no-nonsense approach, a leader who had fought hard to clean up corruption. But tonight, his name was at the center of something strange. When his phone buzzed, he glanced at the unknown number before answering. A low voice on the other end simply said, "Asterisk, they found it." Asterisk. Back at the scene, the officer's frustration grew. The suspect was gone, the safe was still locked, and now there were even more questions. Who had set the trap? And more importantly, what was the mayor hiding? The officer's mind raced. His face still burned, but the bigger problem was staring him down. The mayor's safe, locked tight, sitting in the middle of a crime scene. He could feel the weight of the moment. This wasn't just another break-in. This was something bigger. He grabbed his radio, about to call it in, but hesitated. If the safe really belonged to the mayor, this wasn't just any case. It was political. One wrong move, and it could spiral into something much worse. Meanwhile, Mayor Richardson stood from his desk, his grip tightening around his phone. "Who is this?" he demanded, but the line had already gone dead. His chest tightened. He knew what they had found. He had worked too hard, fought too many battles, to let this come out now. Back at the scene, the officer took a deep breath. There was only one way to get answers. He reached for his tools. He was going to open that safe. Just as the officer crouched down, ready to crack the safe open, a voice cut through the tense air. "Step away." He turned sharply, his hand instinctively hovering near his holster. A man stood in the shadows just beyond the flashing lights. His presence almost too calm for a crime scene. Dressed in a sharp suit, he wasn't a detective, and he definitely wasn't with the department. But there was something about him, something that told the officer he wasn't just some bystander. Before he could respond, two more figures stepped forward, one flashing a government badge. "This is now a federal matter," the suited man said, his tone leaving no room for argument. The officer glanced at his team, uncertainty flickering between them. Since when did a simple break-in get the attention of federal agents? Meanwhile, Mayor Richardson paced in his office, tension written across his face. He had expected a problem, but federal involvement. That changed everything. Someone was pulling strings, and now it was only a matter of time before the real truth came out. The officer's pulse pounded as the federal agents moved in, their presence shifting the entire tone of the scene. This wasn't just about a break-in anymore. This was bigger, deeper. He stepped back, watching as one of the agents pulled out a key. A key. They didn't need tools or force. They already had access. That meant they knew exactly what was inside. The safe door creaked open, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. Stacks of files, a hard drive, and something unexpected, an unmarked envelope. One agent grabbed the envelope immediately, slipping it into his coat without a word. The officer caught the quick exchange and knew, whatever that was, it was the real reason they were here. At that same moment, Mayor Richardson received another call. This time, the voice was different. Calm, controlled. Asterisk gets done. Asterisk, he exhaled, his grip loosening. The scandal he had feared wouldn't come to light. Not yet. But as the officer watched the agents walk away, a sinking feeling settled in his gut. He hadn't found the truth. He had only scratched the surface. The officer stood there, watching the taillights of the unmarked cars disappear into the night. Just like that, it was over. No explanations, no answers, just a feeling that something much bigger had just slipped through his fingers. He glanced back at the open safe, now empty except for a few leftover files no one seemed to care about. Whatever had been taken, it wasn't meant to be found. Mayor Richardson leaned back in his chair, staring at the city lights outside his window. His hands were clean for now. Whatever secrets had been buried tonight, they wouldn't stay hidden forever. He knew that much. As the officer finally walked away from the scene, he couldn't shake the thought. Justice wasn't always about what was found. Sometimes it was about what was kept in the dark. And tonight, something important had been locked away once again.